we will get going here. So let's make our way down onto our mats. And over time, what I've learned is you can have your computer close to you and you might have to pick it up and put it down all the time, and that might be what's best for you. But if you kind of find a spot where you can see it, where it's a little elevated, you might find you don't have to mess with it quite as much. So let's go ahead and lie down. And as you make your way down, notice how it feels to be lying down. You might put a little blanket under your head for support. And as your body begins to recognize this solid surface beneath you, just pay attention to what it feels like as your body lies down. Notice how your body relaxes when it feels the support of the floor. Notice the feeling of the ground under your 2 feet, under your back, under your arms, and under your head. Let your awareness move to the feeling of your whole body, the part of the body that's touching the ground, the part of the body that's facing the ceiling. And can we have this awareness of the body and hold the body in a loving embrace? So like, as you're noticing the feeling of your body, just offer yourself a little love. Like, isn't this wonderful that you and your body are together now? You're paying attention to the feeling of your body. This isn't a time for care. This is a time for care, for connection and care with your body and how it's feeling. Take a moment to relax or soften the roof of your mouth. And then spend a few moments just breathing and connecting with what it feels like to breathe. Feel the feeling of your breath as it moves into your body. And feel the feeling of what it feels like to let the breath empty out. Give yourself whatever time it takes for a nice full deep breath in. And a full emptying of the breath out. How does it feel when you begin to slow down and deepen your breath? Notice that experience, that feeling, that sensation of deep breathing. And as you're breathing, I'm going to share this reading called Listen to the Voice of Your Heart. Cultivate the art of listening to your intuition, your inner voice. This is the guidance of your heart. It's a voice that speaks differently from the one in your head. The heart whispers softly. The head prattles loudly. The head has an agenda for our lives. It chatters away boldly, but its vision is limited. It leaves no room for the mysterious workings of the universe, nor does it take into account the side trips we need to get where we're going, where our souls need to go. It's the voice that says, this is the way it's going to be. The heart, the inner voice, speaks differently. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it pulls. Sometimes it pushes. It's spontaneous, in the present moment, and often a surprise. The heart takes into account what has to be done and the best way to do that. The heart takes emotions into account, the way things feel, the way you feel, the wisdom of your soul. The heart leads us into and through the lessons we're here to learn. Cultivate your inner voice. Practice listening to the whispers of your heart. Practice trusting your intuition, what you really feel, what you really know. Practice until that voice is the one that you hear. Be patient, be gentle. Let yourself learn to hear the gentle and trustworthy words of your heart. So that's what we're going to try to do this morning, is to pay attention, to listen, to trust, to be patient and gentle with ourselves, and be guided by what our inner voice is telling us. So let this practice be more than just doing the next thing and doing the next thing and doing the next thing. See if while you're doing this movement practice, if you can be listening and maybe making little adjustments in what you're doing based on what you're hearing your inner voice tell you is the right thing for you to be doing. And the beauty of being in your home is if your voice is telling you that it's time to just take a little rest or a little break, you can do so. If your voice is telling you to try something a little different, you have permission and there's no pressure to conform to those who are around you. So that's our invitation this morning, really listening to our inner voice. So let's start by taking our feet off the floor and hugging knees into chest. Just get a little stretch into your low back, kind of swaying your knees a little side to side, noticing how that feels. That feels really nice for my low back all the time. And then as you sway center, lift your legs up in the air, releasing your arms at your side, and just begin gently alternating, flexing and pointing. 1 foot flexes and 1 foot points. And feel the stretch in the back of your legs. Maybe spread out your toes, wiggle them. Let's circle the feet around in one direction and circle in the other way. And then letting the knees bend, we'll hold on to the knees. Let's draw the knees apart, open the knees up, feel that stretch along the inner line of the legs as you take a deep breath in. And then press your knees back together. We're going to tabletop the legs and reach the arms out wide. Your arms are out like a T. As your arms are out like a T, just release the back of your shoulders into the floor. And you could even bend your elbows so your arms are more like cactus arms if that's comfortable, or goalposts. So you could have goalposts, or you could have your arms straight out to the side, whichever feels better for you. Let's take a breath in, and with the exhale, let the knees drop about halfway over to one side. When your knees are on one side, can you have the opposite shoulder on the floor? So the side waist is holding the knees where they are. Take a breath in and use those side waist muscles to draw the knees back up. And then let the knees drop over to the other side. So the opposite side waist is contracting to support the weight of the legs. Take a breath in and exhale to bring those knees back up. A couple more like that, just waking up the sideways. Knees dropping to one side, taking a breath in, and exhaling the knees back up. Knees dropping to the other side, taking a breath in, exhaling back up. Let's just do that one more time on each side. Knees over to one side. Maybe you go a little further, maybe not. Bring the knees back. And then that second side, holding them there, taking a breath, and exhaling back up. Great. So from here, let's bring the arms down at our side. And we're going to see if we can reverse curl, if we can just lift the hips up a little bit. And then just roll out. So a nice deep contraction in the low belly to curl the hips up a little bit and then roll them back out. So just starting to activate the deep low belly muscles, curling the hips up and rolling back out. Couple more like that. You could have bent knees. You could also curl up with your legs a little more straight. You can exhale as you curl up and inhale to release. And just one more like that. And then go ahead and bend the knees, release the feet to the floor. Let's lift the head up. If you have a blanket, you might slide it out. Clasp your hands beneath your head. Let the weight of your head rest in your hands, elbows out wide. You can even kind of place your thumbs at the base of your skull and kind of tug the back of your neck a little longer. Take a breath in. As you exhale, start to knit your low ribs down into your belly and then start to lift up the head, neck, and shoulders, lifting your shoulder blades off the floor if you can, looking out beyond your knees, and then inhale and release back. Again, exhaling, draw the low ribs into the belly and curl up, and then inhale and release back. So we're turning on the upper belly muscles here to pull the ribs in and down, and then inhaling back. So as you come up this time and knit your ribs in and down, could you keep your ribs knit as you slowly release back? So don't let the ribs pop up. Again, knit the ribs as you exhale and curl up. Keep them knit as you take your head back and breathe. Couple more like that. Ribs are knitting in and down. We're going to keep them knitting in and down as we inhale and take the head back. And again. Great. This time as you curl up, let's just bring the knees in. So try not to pull too much on your head here. Can you lift those hips a little bit and then release your feet as you inhale your head back? Again, curl up, lift the feet and lift the hips a little bit and then inhale and release back. Just two more like that. Exhaling, upper belly, lower belly working. Inhaling back, and last one. Exhaling, curling, and then release your head, release your hands. Let's roll to the side. Roll to your side, place your forearm beneath you. Stack your knees, place your top hand on your top hip, and then lift your hips up off the floor. Again, working that sideways, could we lift the hips a little higher? Lower them down close to the floor. Try not to let them touch. Lift them up again and then lower them down. So you're letting that forearm press into the floor. So you're just creating a little strength in the shoulder there. And you're also activating your sideways to lift and lower. Your hand could be on your hip. Another option is just to reach that arm up. And we could be let's inhale as we go down and exhale as we lift up. Inhale as we go down, exhale as we lift up, and two more like that. After the next time you lift up, hold here, maybe lift a little bit higher, and then release all the way down. Great. Let's swing our legs out in front. Switch over to the other side, forearm beneath you, knees are stacked, hand can be on your hip. We have the elbow right beneath the shoulder here, and then we lift the hips up. And we're just going to lower the hips close to the ground and then lift the hips up high. Lower them close and lift the hips up. You can drop them all the way down if you need a little break. We could have that hand on the hip. We could have the arm up toward the ceiling. Either way, nice and broad across the shoulders. Yeah, if we want to add in the breathing, we'll inhale as we go down, exhale as we lift up. We'll do a couple more like this. And then the next time we lift the hips up, could you lift a little higher? Great. And then let the hips come down. We're going to come onto all fours now. And as we make our way onto all fours, let's just take a moment to think about the placement of our hands. So as your hands are on the floor, you want the hands to be right beneath the shoulders, straight down. And then we want to spread the hands out so that you don't have your hands close together. They're spread out on the floor. And can you press the thumb and the index finger really firmly down? And even maybe feel the webbing between the thumb and the index finger pressing down. Can you press all 5 knuckles firmly down into the mat so that we don't bear all the weight just on the heel of the hand? We have weight on all 5 knuckles. We have weight on the thumb and the index finger, and we have weight on the webbing between the thumb and the index finger. And when we focus on this inner line of the hands, sometimes the shoulders drop inward. So as your hands are pressing down, can you roll your upper arms out a little bit or try to create a little more space across the shoulders? So you're not hunched over, you're broad here, your shoulders, your upper arms are rolling out like as if you were turning a knob, but your hands aren't doing that. Your hands are flat as your shoulders are rolled open. All right, so we have this really solid foundation with our hands. We have our knees beneath our hips. Let's just take a little time and arch the back. So you're gonna lift the tail, draw the heart forward, look forward, breathe in, and then we're gonna round the spine. So we'll drop the tail, drop the head, breathe out. So as we inhale and arch, we very readily arch in the low back, but it's a little harder to arch in the upper back. And when we round, we very readily round in the upper back, but it's a little harder to round in the low back. So come to flat back. So as we arch the back, like I said, it's easy to arch the low back. See if you can keep a little less arch in your low back. So maybe engage your low belly. And can you try to arch a little more or extend a little more in your upper back? It's a little challenging here. And then come to flat back. And again, your upper back will round really readily. So think about really rounding more into your low back. Maybe draw the belly in so that there's a little more rounding in the low back. The upper back will round. So try that one more time. Come to your flat back. And your low back will arch pretty readily. So engage the belly. Try not to arch the low back quite as much. And see if you can arch or extend a little more in your upper back. And then come to your flat back. And rather than letting all the rounding happen in your upper back, try to create more rounding in your low back. Great. And then come to your flat back. Let's take a little break. We'll sit back on our heels and we'll drop into child's pose. You could have your arms way out in front, your forehead to the floor. You could let your head rest on your arms. You could have your arms at your side if you prefer. So just find a way that feels right for you. And as you're in this child's pose, direct the breath into your upper back, into the area between your shoulder blades or into the area of your low ribs. And let your breath empty out. How does it feel to be here? Breathing deeply. If we breathe into the area of the ribs, we're actually breathing into the heart. The heart is not just in the front of the body, it's in the center of the body. So we breathe into the back of the lungs and we're breathing into the area around the heart. After your next breath empties, reach your arms way out in front, hands as wide as shoulders or maybe a little wider. Again, think about pressing the whole hand down, the fingers, the knuckles, the thumbs. Come onto your knees, curl your toes under. Let's take the hips up and back to downward facing dog here. Pushing down with the hands, pressing them into the floor. And then kind of rolling the upper arms out a little bit, creating a little space across your upper back. Draw the hips way up and back as you breathe in. Let's bend a knee and press a heel to the floor. Bend that knee and press the other heel to the floor. Looking at your feet, those heels going straight back here. Alternate 1 or 2 more times. One knee and one heel. And then bend both your knees, maybe a little, maybe a lot, and draw the hips back. Lift the backs of your thighs. Lengthen through your spine. Stretch out the back of the legs. Deep breath in and out here. Maybe sighing or hawing the breath. One more time. Deep breath into your upper back. And that breath out. Great. Then let's walk our hands back towards our feet so our feet become planted beneath us. Arms and head heavy, dangling down, maybe swaying a bit to one side and back to center and to the other side and back to center. Just kind of fold it over loosely here. Knees as bent as you like. And then begin to draw your low belly in and begin to roll yourself up. Taking your time here, seeing if you can feel your spine unfurling, just like those ferns that are starting to unfurl out in the woods. Slowly, gradually, vertebra stacking on top of vertebra. Eventually, gradually, your head will lift up. And once you're standing tall, if you're not facing the camera, you might turn. So as we're here, let's just take a moment and notice what it feels like to feel your feet on the floor. You might bend your knees a bit and then push them down, sending your roots down. As your feet root down and you stand nice and tall, take your arms and reach them out. As your arms reach out, notice the space that you can create from shoulder to shoulder, from elbow to elbow, from wrist to wrist, and from fingertip to fingertip. How broad or open can you make yourself? And then as your feet root down, reach the arms up. And as the arms come up, let the shoulders and the ribs slide up. Reach up and breathe. And then exhale and release your arms down. Great. Let's step to the front of the mat now. And that same sensation of rooting down through the feet to stand tall, taking the arms and reaching them out, inhaling and reaching them up, exhaling and swan diving forward, folding over the legs. Knees can be soft here. As you're here, can you take a deep breath into your upper back? And as we exhale, could we extend the spine? So just like earlier, we want to get a little of movement in the upper back. So can you draw your heart forward here? You might place hands on shins or maybe fingertips on the floor, but we're trying to extend the spine. So we're going to inhale and round the back. And exhale and try to extend the spine or draw the heart forward. One more time. Inhale into the area behind the heart. And then exhale, letting the heart pull forward. Great. All right, bend your knees so that your hands find the floor and take your feet back to downward facing dog. Hands push down. Feeling the knuckles, fingers, thumbs, hips draw up and back, deep breath here. As we exhale, shoulders come forward over the wrists. So again, that pushing down of the hands will provide a little more support and strength and stability. Pressing back through the heels as we lengthen through the crown. We're going to hold this position. This is a lot of weight to support. If we want a little less weight, we'll let the knees drop down behind. Either way, we're really pressing the hands firmly down, fingers, knuckles, thumbs. Can we lengthen from knees to ears or from ankles to ears as we take a breath here? As we exhale, we'll lower to the floor. So you might let your knees come down first and then just lower your chest into your mat. As we make our way down, heel of the hand sliding back, tops of the feet on the floor, hips pressing down, lengthen through the crown of the head and inhale to lift the chest. Baby cobra here. Exhale and lower down. Again, inhale, lift the chest up, pull the heart forward, and then lift your hands up. Can you draw your elbows in a little bit, just activating the muscles in the upper back, kind of squeeze the shoulder blades in, just feel those muscles working, and then release the hands, release the chest. This time, keeping hands on the floor, inhale up to that same baby cobra, pulling the heart forward, and then if we like, we could push down to come up a bit higher into cobra. And then we'll exhale back down. Let's push up to knees again, and then curl the toes under and lift the knees up. And then lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Breathing in and out here. This time, look a little forward, walk your feet up toward your hands, plant your feet beneath you, and then bend your knees, lower your hips. Bring your hands to heart. Keep your hips low, but lift your chest up. So we're sitting back in chair pose. Arms can reach forward. We might sit a little deeper. Let's take one arm and sweep it down and behind, opening into a twist, breathing in. We'll sweep that arm down and forward, breathing out. Other arm sweeps down and back. Inhale and open and twist. Exhale, sweep that arm forward. Keeping the hips low, can we bring the arms up? And then pushing into the feet and legs, we'll inhale and rise up. And exhale, arms down at our side. Great. Stepping to the front of the mat if we're not already there. Rooting the feet down, we'll inhale and reach out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. Then hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in and out here, pushing down with the hands, drawing the hips up and back. Exhale to straight arm plank. Knees can be up, knees can be down. Could we bend the elbows a little bit here, pointing the elbows back towards the feet? We'll take a breath here. Exhale and lower yourself all the way down. Get nice and long, toes to crown, heel of the hand slide back. Inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. Exhale back down. Make your way up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Look a little forward, walk your feet up toward your hands, plant your feet beneath you. Again, bend your knees, lower your hips, bring your hands to heart, hips stay low, chest lifts up. All right, so our feet should be about hip distance apart here. Let's take a big step back with one foot. Doesn't matter which foot. You could start with your heel down, or could you lift that heel up so the heel points straight back? So right now we're leaning forward. Now, could we bring the chest up a little bit? And we could bring our hands to hips. Let's inhale and straighten the front leg and exhale and bend the knee. So of course, if we need a little support, we could put our hand on a chair. That would be fine. Or you could have your hand on a wall if there's a wall nearby. So we're going to bend the front knee and straighten it. The whole time we're pressing out through the back heel if that heel is lifted. Let's bend and straighten one more time. And then the next time the knee is bent, pause here. The energy of the knee and shin going forward. Can you pull that same sitting bone back, press back through the back heel, and lift your heart up? Drop your arms down, reach them out wide, and then lift them up. Breathe in as You lift the ribs and shoulders up. Very nice. Exhale, bring your hands to heart, lean forward, and step the back foot in so you're sitting in your chair. Let's just go right to the other leg. Take a big step back with your other foot. Big step back. The heel can be down initially. Could you lift that heel up? Your feet are hip distance apart. Now, let's bring the chest up and bring hands to hips. So we're pressing back through the back heel. We're going to press the front foot down. Inhale and straighten the front leg. Exhale and bend the knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Couple more like that. Grounding through the front foot. How does that feel? To feel the stability of that front foot supporting you here. That pushing down, straightening the leg. The next time the knee is bent, pause here. And as the knee and shin go forward, the same sitting bone pulls back. This front leg is very solid and steady. Press back through the back heel. Lift your heart up. Drop your arms down. Reach them out. And lift up. Ribs, chest, shoulders. Lift up. Big breath here. And then bring your hands to heart. Lean forward again. Step your back foot in. Sit back in your chair. Push into your feet and legs to straighten up. Release your arms. Nice work. One more time from the front of your mat. Ground down. Inhale and reach your arms out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. Hands to the floor. We'll step back to downward facing dog. Take a big breath in and out here. Exhale and lower to straight arm plank. We might drop to knees as we bend the elbows. Try not to let your hips drop as you bend your elbows. Take a breath here. Exhale and lower yourself into the floor. As we're here, let's hover the head and bring our arms alongside the body. Back of the hands on the floor, palms to the ceiling. Get long from your toes to your crown. You can be looking straight into the floor, hovering your head close to the floor. Your toes reach back, the crown of the head extends forward. Now press the front of your hips down and lift your legs up. Straight legs, toes pointed, legs lifting up. Reach back through your fingertips. Inhale, lift your chest up. Pull your heart forward. So there's length from your toes reaching back to your sternum pulling forward, and then there's lift. Take a breath here, activating all the muscles in the back of the body here, and then lower yourself down. Nice work. Bring your hands next to chest, push back to knees, take your hips back. We're going to again go all the way back to child's pose. Sitting back on the heels. Arms could be out in front. Arms could be supporting your head. It's nice for your forehead to be supported here. Breathe into the back of the lungs, the area between the shoulder blades or the low ribs. Let the breath empty and notice how you're feeling. With your next inhale, lift your head up. Reach your arms out in front. Make your way to knees. Make your way to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Look a little forward. Walk your feet up toward your hands. Plant your feet beneath you. Let's reverse swan dive. We're just going to sweep the arms out and inhale and rise up. Reach up. And exhale, arms down at your side. Great. Let's turn this way. Wide stance. We'll turn the left foot in, turn the right foot out. Place our hands on our hips. Can you really push this back foot down? Feel it solid. It's angled inward, but you're not just feeling the inner edge of your foot. You're feeling the inner and outer edge of your foot solidly connected. This front foot, we're going to bend the knee, and then there's going to be weight here. So that foot should feel connected, but do you have more weight on the inner edge of the foot? Is the knee dropping in? Could you balance the weight on the whole foot so the knee is centered right over the direction of the toes? And then can you get your shoulders right over your hips rather than leaned over? So with this solid connection to the ground, let's push the front foot into the floor and straighten the front leg. And then we'll bend the knee. And you can decide how deep you want to go. And push the front foot down to straighten, and then bend the knee. So as we're here, let's take the arms out. Palms can be forward. Again, can you create space from shoulder to shoulder, from shoulder blade to shoulder blade? As you push the front foot down and straighten the leg, let's inhale and reach up. As you inhale and reach up, let's not let the ribs go forward. Let's keep the ribs kind of contained. So we're going to bend the knee, and we can have the palms forward or palms down. We're going to inhale and reach up, and exhale and reach out. Inhale and reach up. Exhale and reach out. One more time like that. Lifting ribs, lifting shoulders, but lower ribs stay knit, so they're sliding up rather than pushing forward. Exhale here. Nice job. Take a breath here, nice and open. As we exhale, we're going to tip over from the hips, bring this bottom arm on this bottom leg, take the other arm forward, and then we're going to swing it overhead. Roll it so your pinky is down, your thumb is up. That arm is kind of rolling down. Roll your belly and chest towards your computer. And then let's release the head to look down at the floor. Release the neck, release the low back here. Reach a little longer with that top arm, breathe into that side. And then sweep that arm down in front. Reach it back behind you. Inhale and rise up, open up. Exhale and release. Nice. Straighten that front leg. Turn the feet forward. Then turn the right foot in. Turn the left foot out. Really press into your feet. Feel them solidly rooted. And then bend your front knee. You can decide how far you want to bend this knee. Now push that foot down to straighten the leg. Shoulders are over hips now. Bend the front knee. Push down to straighten. Bend. Push down to straighten. Take your arms out. As you bend the knee, your arms are out. As we straighten the leg, let's reach up. Exhale and bend. Inhale and lift. Exhale and bend. Deep breath flows in as the arms reach up. Again, exhale, release, stretch out. Inhale, energy, breath flowing in. And then release out. Take a breath here. Exhale, tip over, forearm on the front leg. Back arm sweeps forward, and then let it come overhead. Roll the thumb up, pinky down. Then roll the belly and chest towards your computer. Then release your head to look down at the floor. Back foot presses down, that top arm reaches long overhead, big breath. Then sweep that arm down as you breathe out. Then reach back, inhale and rise up, open up. And exhale and release. Great, straighten that front leg, turn that foot in, walk your feet together. Great. As we're standing here, I want you to just take your arms out again. And then we're going to sweep one arm under the other. It doesn't matter which one, but notice which one. So which arm is on the bottom, which arm is on the top. And then give yourself a hug, right? So you're holding on to yourself. Imagine that you've just ran into your best friend. Like we're not able to hug each other now, right? That's not the protocol. And it might have been a while since you've given or received a hug. So I want you to give yourself a hug now, because we all could use a hug. And just offer yourself some warmth, some love. And as you're doing that, breathe into the area of your upper back between your shoulder blades. And as you exhale, you can kind of soften your low ribs in and down. Do that again. So as we're here, we might be kind of rounding forward a little bit. So can you keep your ribs knit, breathe into your upper back, but keep your heart lifted a little bit. You're not arching back, but you're just also not rounding forward. So one more breath here. And then release your arms. So notice which arm was on the bottom. And then take your arms out, big breath, broaden. And then sweep the other arm underneath and give yourself a hug, just to even this out. So again, you just ran into yourself, haven't seen yourself in a long time. So good to see you. Really warm hug. Embrace yourself. And then just create a little big breath into your upper back. Exhale, knit your ribs in and down. As you're doing this, can you lift your sternum a little bit? Breathe into your upper back. Knit your low ribs in and down. Nice work. All right, release your arms. Check it out a little bit. All right, we're going to take the feet wide into a straddle. Feet are parallel. Make little fists with your hands and place them on your low back, on those two dimples, lower than your waist. And with these little fists, you can push your hips forward a little bit. As your hips push forward, you can draw your elbows in towards each other. And as you do that, can you lift your sternum here? So we're going to arch the back here. And again, the low back will arch pretty readily. Can you lift your heart to create a little more extension in your upper back? Big breath. And then come back upright. We're going to start to hinge forward to a flat back. Let your hands start to slide down your legs. They could be pressing into the shins for support, or they could be reaching onto your ankles as you allow your head to drop over. Head drops over and relaxes down. You could keep your hands where they are. You could maybe clasp your hands and think about lifting them up if that feels good for you. Head drops down as arms reach up and overhead. Big breath in. And then either bring your hands to hips or just reach your hands back towards the wall behind you. Come up to flat back. Pause here. Breathe in and out. And then press down and inhale and come all the way up. Nice work. All right, walk your feet together. So next we're going to do a very, very simple, basic, easily accessible version of headstand. If you have a headstand practice and you want to come into a full headstand, feel free to do so. But most of us, we're just going to find that part of our head where we would balance a book. Just imagine you're placing a book on your head, and that central point where the weight of the book would be, if you were going to leave a book balanced on your head, that's the part of our head that I want us to come down and place on the floor. And I'm going to just demonstrate, if you're not familiar with this, where we're going to go. We're going to place that part of our head on the floor, and then we're going to cradle the back of the head with our hands. And we can just be here, like this. Or if you want a little more, you could curl your toes under and take your hips up. We just want to have the weight of the head on the floor. So if you were watching to see what's going on, so at this point now, put that point right where the different parts of your skull came together, your soft spot when you were a baby. The important thing is that that's on the floor. And then you can just cradle your head. Your forearms are on the floor, so there's a little weight on your forearms. You're just cradling the back of your head. You could be here with your knees down. You could lift your knees up, so there's a little more weight under your head. If you want to go further, you could walk your hips a little higher. If you want to try a headstand at the wall, you're welcome to do so. Some people might be able to take their legs up in the air. Some people might not want to try that. But we're not going to be here long, but there's great benefit in becoming more grounded by feeling this part of our head on the floor. So just take a breath or two here. And then come down to your knees. And let's just take child's pose again. So sit back on your heels and let the weight of your head either rest on the floor or rest on your bent arms. And take a few breaths. Notice how that feels. That can be quite an experience. So what is the sensation in your body as a result of placing that part of your head on the floor? Notice, feel, breathe. Take one more breath here. Then we're going to lift our heads up and we're going to make our way down onto our backs. So go ahead and make your way all the way down onto your back. We're going to set up for bridge pose. So at this point, you don't want to have anything under your head for bridge pose. So we're going to have our feet hip distance apart, heels in fairly close to the bum, arms down at our side. We'll push down into the feet and then release the back of your low ribs into the floor and start to peel your lower back up off the floor. Nice low bridge with your low ribs on the floor. And then unfurl the low back down, sacrum on the floor. So that's a low bridge. Now we're going to start the same way, just lifting the low back up, back of the low ribs are down, and then maybe lifting up more into a high bridge, bringing the weight up onto your shoulders. You might press down to lift the hips up nice and high, and take a breath, and then roll yourself back down. Taking a little time to unfurl, releasing the part of the spine where the ribs attach, and then the lower lumbar spine until you're all the way down. So again, we're going to push down to take the hips up, coming up as high as you like. If you're up nice and high on your shoulders, if you'd like to clasp your hands together, you could draw your shoulder blades in towards each other and maybe lift a little more, lifting the chest, lifting the hips, lifting the heart, snugging those shoulders in close and taking a breath. And then again, you might unclasp your hands to lower down. And now we've reached a little fork in the road. So we have some options now. One option would be to go to the wall, put your legs up on the wall, and just do legs up the wall pose with your heels on the wall. Another option would be to continue rolling up and down out of bridge pose. And a third option, if you have a shoulder stand practice, would be to do your shoulder stand practice. You want your shoulders snugged in close. You just press down to lift up, placing your hands on your low back. You could also use a wall to get into this position. You want your elbows in close, your shoulders snugged in close. So if you want to come up in shoulder stand, you can do so. If you want to use the wall for shoulder stand, we've done this in our class many times. Your hips are close to the wall, your legs go up on the wall, and then you use the wall to lift up into your shoulder stand, placing your hands on your low back, taking one or both legs off the wall. So all kinds of options here. So listen to your inner voice, your inner intuition. I have a hummingbird out my window. And decide if you want to do bridge pose, up and down, if you want to do a supported shoulder stand, if you want to do a freestanding shoulder stand, you want to do legs up the wall, whatever feels good. We'll be here a little bit longer in whatever pose that you've chosen here. And if you're in any pose, if you're in the shoulder stand or a bridge or whatever, and you decide to come out before I instruct, that's always fine. If you're in the pose, can you connect with your breath? Can you notice how this feels? As you're paying attention to how it feels, is there any shift you should make, any modification? And if we're in shoulder stand, we'll begin to come out now. We might bring knees to nose. We might reach the feet overhead into plow pose. We might bring our legs to the wall, our heels to the wall, and then we'll just try to slowly, gradually roll out of our legs up the wall, our shoulder stand, or we'll come out of our bridge. We're just eventually going to make our way down to lying down with our feet on the floor. And we'll take a breath here, in and out. Let's roll to the side and push ourselves up. As we make our way up to sitting, you might choose to sit up on a blanket. Put a blanket underneath you to elevate your hips. Let's bring our feet together. Your feet might be in close, but they could be a little further away. If you feel like you're kind of leaning back with your feet in this position, maybe with your knees are up kind of high, then I would definitely suggest sitting up on something. So you could be holding your ankles. You could have your hands back here for support if that would allow you to be more supported and sit up more straight. Let's just push the feet into each other, push the knees apart. Just see if we can activate the outer hips a little bit by trying to push the knees from side to side, pushing them wide apart, taking a breath, letting the breath go. We'll bring the knees in, just straighten the legs out, and then take the legs apart. So again, some people's hips don't allow their legs to go real wide apart. Some people, you feel like you're kind of rolled back here. So if so, you might want to put your hands back here for support. Some people might want to put their hands here. Could you press your heels down? So you're working the back line of your legs. Can you root your sitting bones down and straighten up? You might need a little support here to do that. Some of us, it's really hard just to get straight up here. Some of us might be able to lean forward a bit here. Can you lean forward and still press your heels down? Some of you might have a little bend in your knees, which is fine. So what feels right for you? Some of us might enjoy this stretch. We might have mobility in these muscles and be enjoying that stretch here. So take a breath wherever you are and then push back, sitting up straight. So we're going to lean over. So again, if your knees are bent, you might just put an elbow and just kind of lean over this way, or slide one arm down, reach the other arm up and over. Just kind of stretch over to the side and breathe into that side that you're reaching over with. Let your gaze go down here. And then reach up, bring that hand down, take the other arm, reach it up, and just stretch over. Again, you could just have an elbow and just kind of be leaning over, or you might be leaning over with your arm. Big breath into that side here. Exhale, release your head to look down. And then inhale and reach up and come back down. Great. Bring your feet in. We're just going to cross the legs. Take one hand behind, one arm across, and just twist in that direction. Once you've twisted to that side, your spine is upright, just breathe in and out. Then release back around to center and go the other way. Take the other hand behind, other arm across, twist in that direction. Straighten yourself up and take a breath. And let the exhale maybe allow you to twist a little deeper. One more time. Breathe in and out. And then release back around, face forward. We're going to get ready to transition down onto our backs for our final relaxation now. So I invite you to figure out what you would need in order to be able to relax most readily when you lie down. So that might be a pillow or a blanket under your head. That might be putting a blanket over you or putting on a layer, putting on some socks perhaps, maybe a little support under your knees. So set yourself up in a way that would allow you to be as comfortable as possible. And then just allow yourself to lie down. So this is a really important part of the practice. So when you're practicing at home, it might be easy to think about skipping this part of the practice, but I really encourage you not to do so. Because this part of the practice is essential in letting the body that we've just worked experience the sensation of relaxation. We want to understand what it feels like to be in a relaxed body. When we're asleep, we're in a relaxed body, but we don't recognize what that feels like because we're asleep. So this is our opportunity to consciously be connected with what it feels like to be in a relaxed body. And certain parts of the body relax quite readily. The arms probably feel quite heavy. The legs relax fairly readily. You might just encourage your toes to relax, your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs. But a lot of us hold a lot of tension in the area of the hips, the belly, the gut, the seat muscles. So can you invite the whole area of your pelvis to relax into the floor? So your belly softens, melts, releases, relaxes. The hips relax. You just give the whole weight of your hips and pelvis to the floor. Recognize how it feels now to release your shoulders back, to feel any part of your upper back that touches the ground. Just let the area around your heart just soften and open. The heaviness in the shoulders, the heaviness in the arms, the relaxation in the palm of your hand. And then release the neck as you let the weight of your head be heavy. Let your forehead soften. Let your eyes relax. Let your jaw relax. When the body is relaxed, the mind can quite readily come along. Allow that to be. Let your mind rest. Just be as you are now. Be patient. Be gentle. Let yourself learn to hear the gentle and trustworthy words of your heart. So we'll start to come out of this relaxation now. Just taking your time, slowly, gradually beginning to open your eyes, bending your knees, bringing your feet to the floor, gently rolling to your side, maybe taking a little time on your side to transition. When you feel ready, you can stay there if you like, or when you feel ready, you can come back up. And if you need to go, you're welcome to go. If you want to come back, turn your video on and say hello, you can do so.